Hey guys, my name is Achileshe Anichewe and welcome to Econ AJ, where I explain economics in the simplest way possible. So I'd like to thank everybody who subscribed to my channel, and if you're new to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. With that being said, let's get started. So I'm sure you've seen from the title down there that we're doing part 2 of supply and demand. So I recommend, if you haven't yet watched part 1, please go watch it and then come back to watch this one, or else you might get a little confused. Okay, so let's continue where we left off. Previous video, we ended on a graph that looks a little something like this. So we had our quantity, price, the demand curve, the supply curve. So we had a figure of 110 here, we had an 11 here, a 2 here. Our equilibrium quantity was 30 and our equilibrium price was 8. So we had our consumer surplus up here and producer surplus down there. So we're going to start with how to calculate the consumer surplus and the producer surplus. So for the consumer surplus, consumer surplus is equal to half base times height. Basically the formula of a right angled triangle, because that's what this is. Okay. So consumer surplus is equal to half times the base is simply this distance, the distance from here to here, which is equal to the distance from here to here. So the distance from 0 to 30 is just 30. So the base is 30. Times the height is the distance from 8 to 11. So to get this height, we just subtract 11 minus 8, which is just 3. So that's 3. So consumer surplus is equal to, so 2 there, 1, 2 there, 15. So 15 times 3, that's just 45. So this is our surplus, 45. To get our producer surplus, so producer surplus is equal to half base times height as well. So producer surplus is equal to half, the base is this distance, so which is still 30. So half times 30 times, the height is the distance between 8 and 2. So to get this distance, we just subtract 8 minus 2, that's 6. So we have a 6 there. So producer surplus is equal to, so 2 there, 1, 2 there, 15. So 15 times 6, that's 90. So the producer surplus is 90. And to get our total surplus, so total surplus, which is also known as social surplus. So sometimes they can use the word total surplus, they can also use the word social surplus. So total surplus is simply equal to consumer surplus plus producer surplus. So the total surplus is equal to consumer surplus is 45 plus producer surplus is 90. So total surplus is equal to 45 plus 90, that's 135. So that's how you get your consumer surplus, producer surplus, and the total surplus. So I hope we're clear on these things. So next, let me quickly erase these things and we'll get to the tax. So using the same demand equation and the same supply equation, we're going to look at what happens when there's a tax in this economy. So the tax directly affects the suppliers. So this is going to change. So suppose there is a tax of 3 kwacha. So there's a tax of 3 kwacha. So what you do with this tax, you subtract it from the price, because, well, it reduces the amount the suppliers actually receive. So we get our supply equation. Q is equal to 5P minus 10. So Q is equal to 5. I recommend you put this in brackets, because if you don't, if you just subtract it directly, it can affect, you can get lost in the calculations and you end up getting the wrong thing. So we have the price minus the tax, which is 3/4, then minus 10. So Q is equal to, so we expand this. So 5 times P, that's 5P. 5 times -3, that's -15, minus 10. So Q is equal to 5P minus 25. So this is our supply after tax. This is the equation for supply after tax. So now using this same supply equation and the original demand equation, we're going to come up with a new equilibrium. So remember, if you have Q is equal to this and Q is equal to this, so we'll simply equate this and this to find the new equilibrium. So we have 110, I hope that's visible, okay. 110 minus 10P is equal to 5P. Let me just rub this off. Just keep the equation in mind. So the equation is Q is equal to 5P minus 25. So this is for supply after tax. Okay, so we want to calculate the new equilibrium price and quantity when there is a tax in the economy. And remember, our new equation is this. So quantity is equal to 5P minus 25. So this is our supply after tax equation. So using this new equation and the original demand equation, which is Q is equal to 110 minus 10P, we have to find our equilibrium. So we'll simply equate this to this. Okay. So this is 5P minus 25 is equal to 110 minus 10P. So we collect the like terms. So the 10P can come the other side and the 25 can go the other side. So 5P plus 10P is equal to 110 plus 25. So 5 plus 10, that's just 15. So 15P is equal to 110 plus 25 is 135 over 15 over 15. So P is equal to, so that's 135 divided by, so P is equal to 9. So having our price, we can use any of the two equations to find our quantity. So I'll use the demand equation. So Q is equal to 110 minus 10P. So Q is equal to 110 minus 10. Our price is 9. Our price is 9. So Q is equal to 110 minus 90. So Q is equal to 110 minus 90, that's 20. So this is our new quantity. So this is our quantity after tax. This is our equilibrium price after tax, like that. So we can now come to how the graph will change. Our quantity Q after tax is 20, and our price after tax is 9. This is our equilibrium price and quantity. So to draw the curve, we'll start with the original one. So we have quantity there. Is it clear? Okay. And we have price there. So we have demand and our supply. Like that. So this is demand, this is supply. So our equilibrium price was 8. The first equilibrium quantity was 30. We had a 2 here, and we had an 11 here. We also had a 110 here. So we now have a new supply equation. Sorry, I've erased it, but okay. The new supply equation is just Q is equal to 5P minus 25. So this is our supply after tax equation. So since the supply curve, okay, is now 9, okay. But then before we plot that equilibrium, we're supposed to know where our new supply curve is going to start from. So we have the equation Q is equal to 5P minus 25. And remember, to find a point along the y-axis, which is the one with the price, we say that it's a point at which the quantity is 0. So we're going to say when Q is 0, so when Q is equal to 0, so where there is Q, we'll put a 0 is equal to 5p minus 25. So the 25 can go the other side. So it will be positive 25 is equal to 5p. So we divide both sides by 5. Over 5 over 5. P is equal to 5 into 25, that's just 5. So a point at which the price is 5, that's approximately, let's say here, so 5. Let me use a red marker. So that's 5. So this is the point where the new supply equation will start from. And our price after tax was 9. So that's approximately here. We have a 9 here. So where it's meeting the demand curve. So, and the new quantity was 20. So there's a 20 there. So we can connect these 2 points. And we have the new curve there. So this is the supply after tax equation. So you can show the arrows to show that it's moved. This is your new equilibrium. So we can call this equilibrium 1. And we have 2. So we now have a new consumer surplus. Because remember, the consumer surplus is simply the area below the demand curve and above the equilibrium. Originally, it was here. It was from here going up. Now, this part has reduced. So it's now just this part. And our... Okay, so we also have to find this point. The point at which the new quantity meets the old supply. Okay? We'll come to the reason why this point is important a bit later. Okay. But we also have to find this point. So to find this point, we get our original supply equation, which is this one. Q is equal to 5p minus 10. And we replace Q as 20. So I hope the space will be enough. So Q is equal to 5p minus 10. So Q is 20 because that's where the 20 is meeting this curve. So 20 is equal to 5p minus 10. So 20 plus 10, sorry, the 10 becomes positive, is equal to 5p. So this would be 30. So 30 is equal to 5p over 5 over 5. So the price is equal to 6. I hope it's visible. Okay, so the price is 6. So this point here, we have a 6 here. Okay. So now the area below this point, this area is our new, so this is the consumer surplus. So this area is our new producer surplus. So we have our new consumer surplus, our new producer surplus. And then I hope you've noticed this. Let me get a different marker. I hope you've noticed this rectangle that's formed here. So this area represents the government revenue. So this is the amount the government is getting from this tax. Okay, and I hope you've also noticed this triangle that is formed here. This little triangle. Let me try to use a different marker. This triangle here. So this is the deadweight loss. So deadweight loss is simply some benefit that is lost due to government intervention, such as tax. So we have the new consumer surplus, the new producer surplus, the new government revenue, not the new government revenue, the government revenue, and the deadweight loss. So let me just write this properly. Let me erase this, then draw this properly so that we can now come to the calculations. So I have redrawn the graph. Hopefully it looks better. So we have our new consumer surplus, which is this area shaded in red here. Then this area shaded in blue is the government revenue. This area is the producer surplus. And this dark triangle is the deadweight loss. Okay, so I hope it's now more clear. So now we're going to get into calculating the new consumer surplus, new producer surplus, how to get the government revenue, and how to get the deadweight loss. So start with the consumer surplus. So consumer surplus, we make this darker, consumer surplus is equal to half, half BH. Looks terrible because I'm short. Okay, so let me just try to write it down. So consumer surplus is equal to half. So remember the base is this area from here to here, which is equal to this area. So that's just 20. So the base is 20 times the height is this area. So that's the area between 9 and 11. So to get this area, that's just 11 minus 9, which is 2. 2. Consumer surplus is equal to, so 2 there, 1, 2 there, 10. So consumer surplus is just 20. So this is our new consumer surplus. So now we get to the new producer surplus. So producer surplus is equal to half BH. Producer surplus is equal to half times. So the base is this distance, okay, so which is 20. That's 20 times the height is the distance between 6 and 2. So that's why it was important to find where this point, the point at which the new quantity meets the old supply equation. So it was important because it makes our work easier when calculating the producer surplus. So the area between 6 and 20, that's just, 6 and 2, that's just 6 minus 2, so that's 4. So 2 there, 1, 2 there, 10. Our new producer surplus is equal to 10 times 4, 40. So this is our new producer surplus. We can now come to the government revenue. So formula, I hope you've noticed that it's making a triangle. Sorry, not a triangle, a rectangle. It's making a rectangle. So government revenue is equal to L times B. Government revenue is equal to, so the length is this distance, which is just 20, times the breadth is the base of breadth or whatever, is just this distance between 9 and 6. So that's 9 minus 6, which is 3. So government revenue is equal to 20 times 3, that's 60. So if you find the graph a little confusing, another way of finding your government revenue is, we know that the tax in this economy, the tax applied was 3. So it was a 3/4 tax applied, and the new quantity was 20. So another way of finding your government revenue, simply multiply the tax that is imposed on the economy, which is 3/4, and the new quantity after tax, which is 20. That's this 20. And another thing, for you to find where your new supply curve is going to start from, instead of having to say when Q is 20, since you know that your tax is 3/4, so you simply add a 3 to the odd supply curve where it was starting from. So you just add a 3 to this 2 to get the 5. So you can just add the tax to know where the new supply is starting from. Okay. So then to get the deadweight loss, so DWL is equal to, so this is also a triangle, so we'll use the same formula, half BH. So deadweight loss is equal to half times, so the base is the distance between this point and this point, so simply the distance between these two. So that's just 30 minus 20, which is 10, times the height is this distance. So that's 9 minus 6, which is 3. So 2 there, 1, 2 there, 5. So DWL is equal to 5 times 3, that's 15. My 5 looks like an S. So deadweight loss in this economy is 15. So that's how you get the new curve after tax. Then you get your new supply, your new consumer surplus, your new producer surplus, your government revenue, your deadweight loss. You show that your supply has moved from here to here. This was your first equilibrium. This is your equilibrium after tax. So you show all these things. So that's all I had in this video. I hope you're now clear on how to get the the graph after tax, and how everything changes. Hope you can now get your deadweight loss, your government revenue, your new consumer surplus, your new producer surplus. Please don't forget to subscribe, and if this video has helped you, or if you've enjoyed this video, please like it and leave a comment in the comment section on what else you'd like to know about supply and demand. So thank you for watching, and bye bye.